Welcome to the Vale, where the paranormal is our playground. Well, today we're going to talk about the Brumder Mansion.
Best place.
We've done 3 nights there now
Yeah.
together.
Together we've been there 3. I've been there a total of 4. And I thought it'd be a good episode to discuss the history of Brumder Mansion because we were just there last weekend.
Yes, we were.
It was a good time.
Yes. We even got to see some comedy and...
It's like a comedy magic show. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about our time with them and figure we get into the history of the Brumder Mansion since it's right here in Wisconsin. It's in Milwaukee. And we like to go there every once in a while.
Yes, we do.
If there's not an investigation coming up or we just want to get away for a weekend.
Yeah.
Brumder seems to kind of be our place to go.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to kind of jump into it. Welcome to the last episode of February.
It's February almost done.
It is. Thank God.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the worst month of the year for me.
This was the coldest month.
Yeah, that's why it's the worst month. It's like the coldest month, and it's not like that pretty wintry.
No.
Like, in December when the first snowfall comes and all the Christmas lights are on, everybody's like, "Ooh, winter's so pretty." And then by February, it's like freezing and the snow looks disgusting.
Which, by the way, it's kind of freezing in here.
It is.
Like...
It is. Our studio has no heat or something. I don't know.
It does, I think. It's just not... It's at a lower level at night.
I guess.
I don't think they keep it temperature up at night.
But it's so much warmer when you leave the room.
Yes.
So, good to know that everybody knows about our studio being cold. And then we have the hacking guy over here.
Yeah, he's fighting something.
Yeah, he's been sick the last few weeks. And his hat today is just our normal.
Actually, it's the OG symbol, the OG
is.
logo. So it's when it started, if you can see, the Dead Squirrel in the Woods Productions. And now we kind of go by Dead Squirrel Studio to make it a little easier.
Yep. And because I showed up,
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to discuss Brumder Mansion. Again, it's not here because we're in Sheboygan right now, but it's in Milwaukee. Milwaukee happens to be where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in Milwaukee County, and pretty much grew up in the Bayview area. So for all my Bayview friends, we know all about Bayview. And one of the things I really love about Milwaukee is some of our older, bigger mansions that we still have left. There's not as many, but the Grand Avenue, Wisconsin Avenue, which is now Wisconsin Avenue, it's now full of college-y stuff, and a lot of the bigger mansions have been torn down to make way for apartments and things like that. But Brumder is still there. And just happens to be down the block from Pab's Mansion, which is my number one favorite home of Milwaukee, to which this guy here hasn't seen yet. So we're going to have to take care of that.
Yes, we will.
Because it's gorgeous.
I trust you on that one.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite home. But you don't get to sleep over there and you don't get to investigate it. And I'm sure that there's probably some sort of spirit or something there. But Historical Society is not going to discuss that.
No, a lot of them don't, unfortunately.
But the good part is Brumder owners do discuss the spirit world that's still hanging out in Brumder. So Brumder has a great history, and again, one of the remaining mansions. It was built in 1910, and the mansion was joined by other beautiful homes in Milwaukee, with just a few remaining today.
Right.
And if you go down Wisconsin, you can even see some of the maybe one or two of the bigger mansions that are still left, but have really fallen into
Like,
time. It's like abandoned.
not being upkept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So George Brumder was the one who decided to build this home, though not for him.
Mm-mm.
George Brumder, who was born in, and kill me if I say this wrong, but I'm probably going to say it wrong because I don't know what it is, but it's like Bruchwickersheim. Bruchwickersheim.
Yeah. Broschwickersheim or something like that.
Yep. And that's
Brioche.
actually France in 1839.
Okay.
He moved to Milwaukee in 1857 from Alaska or Alsky,
Elise.
something like that. Alicia, France.
Elise's.
Right. And he was here in 1857.
Okay.
In 1873, he began publishing Die Germania, my goodness, a German Lutheran newspaper with Republican leanings, which became influential and widely circulated. And one of the biggest reasons he made that is because if you know Milwaukee, you know that a huge portion of German immigrants moved to Milwaukee and really most of the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Many German immigrants came. That's where my family came from. They're originally from Austria.
Okay. Where the studio's at in Sheboygan is heavy German. So
Yep.
even during World War II, they had the POW camp here, and
Yep.
there actually were families that knew each other that migrated here, and they had a relative that was a POW here.
Nice. So we kind of joke around in our family about the German heritage and our noses. So my mother's father's side of the family, heavily German influence. And I did that cool ancestry DNA thing and found that even though I have Scottish history and Irish and German and even some Gypsy, which is really cool, explains a lot.
Well, a lot of that would be Germanic because Germany was bigger at one point too.
Right. So even though I have a lot of that ancestry, my DNA is mainly German.
Yeah.
It's like 40%. So I took a lot of my mother's father's side of the family.
And you're working with one that's mostly English or British.
British. So the joke of the family is my grandfather has very prominent German nose, and my mom took that. I took that. My son took a portion of it, and my daughter definitely has it, and she hates it more than anything in the world. And she always talks about getting a nose job when she gets older. And I always said that too. And now I've embraced my German nose. Yes, I have a big German nose. So the reason he wanted to do this newspaper was because those who spoke German really struggled here in America with the English language. And he was able to take newspaper and kind of change it and translate it into German.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the Germanian newspaper. In 1891, during the Bennett Law agitation, Brumder made the newspaper daily, and in 1897, he united with a Bend Post. After 1906, he bought control of the Herald. He controlled all of the Milwaukee German newspapers. He also owned a German language paper in Chicago.
Wow.
And Lincoln, Nebraska, as well as several Wisconsin towns. So he was the president of the Germania National Bank and the Concordia Fire Insurance Company. So he made quite the name for himself here in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Now, George married Marie Dorothea Carolina Henriette Brandhorst.
How many names does this woman have?
We're just going to go with Marie.
Yes, I actually, yeah, let's do that.
Yes. They married in 1864, and those two had 11 children.
Holy right.
11.
11?
Yes. However, not all of them made it to adulthood, which was common in that time.
Well, yeah, technology.
So, Marie's family actually came from Prussia, and she was orphaned in 1859 when she was 18 years of age. Her uncle is the one that brought her here to America. And don't mind the pause here, I'm just there. My phone is going to go off, and we didn't want to hear that. Turn that off. All right, so here are the children that they all had. Okay. So they had their first daughter born was Amelia, and she lived for 94 years.
Okay.
And then there was Ida. She lived for 68 years.
Okay.
William Frederick, first son, died when he was 61 years old.
It says we're Charles.
So that was from the obituary, and Charles was in there. I'm thinking it was a middle name.
Okay.
Emma was 92 years old when she passed. Alfred was just 4 months when he passed. So that was one of the ones they lost. Alfred Julius, so they had an Alfred William that died, and then an Alfred Julius. He died when he was 23.
So
he made it to adulthood, but not very far into it.
Okay.
Poor Henriette was born and just made it for 7 days.
Oh.
And then they had Ella, who was only alive for 9 months.
Hmm.
And then their last three children, George Frederick Brumder Jr., made it to 83 years old. Herman made it to 70 years old, and Herbert, the youngest, was 82 years old when he passed. So, William Charles Brumder, first son of George, graduated from the University of Wisconsin and attended Startsburg, Leipzig, and Berlin universities.
Okay.
He assumed control of his father's publishing business and gained prominence as a leader among the Wisconsin Republicans. He was president of the National Bank of Commerce and a forerunner of the first Wisconsin National Bank. William had 6 children, with the youngest dying in 2014.
Okay.
William's grandson, so who would be George's great grandson, died in 2021, and that ended the Brumder family.
So that ended the line, the Brumder line.
It did, yeah. George Jr. was the treasurer of the Germania Herald Association. So 2 boys went into the family business pretty much.
Yeah.
So George had a home built for his son, which is now known as the Brumder Mansion, bed and breakfast. For unknown reasons, his son William never moved into the home. So the home was originally built for William.
Okay.
But he never moved into the home. However, George Jr. did. It was 8,000 square feet, and George had decorated in Gothic, Victorian, and like artsy style.
Mm-hmm.
The architect was Herman Schnetsky, and he was behind the building and architect of the home.
Okay.
Which is awesome to know because Herman also had close ties with Frank Lloyd Wright.
Okay.
And you can almost see some of Frank Lloyd Wright's influence in some of the architecture of Brumder. All right, so some of the notable features was the inclusion of a ballroom with a separate entrance on the basement floor, in contrast to the popular tradition of the time, which usually placed the ballroom on the upper floor.
Okay.
So floor was down to the what's now the theater was once a ballroom.
Where we saw our show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So George Sr. actually never saw the completion of this home, as he died in May of 2010, the year of the completion of the home.
Okay.
So he died right before it was completed within the year, which was kind of sad because he ended up spending $25,000 to build the home, which in today's money would be a grand total of 830,539,057 or 47 cents.
Dang.
Yeah. So the home was incredibly expensive for that time and this time. So George Jr. lived into the home until 1937 after the death of his wife. He then sold the home to Sam Pick and his brother Ed. Sam, his wife Laura, and their son Robert lived there. However, the Pick brothers had this reputation to have some alleged ties to Al Capone and were involved in illegal trade of alcohol during the Prohibition years. As some know or may not know, Al Capone was quite known here in the Milwaukee area as well as Chicago. Had some ties to many buildings here in Milwaukee. So Brumder wasn't the only one. Pretty sure he had ties to a few other ones.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Chicago, Milwaukee, not too far of a distance.
Right.
Definitely.
And it's very easy to get on the river from Chicago to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot. So Sam was already the owner of a nightclub called Club Madrid. Us Milwaukeeans know Club Madrid pretty well. And it was kind of known for its shady clientele. And some believe that Capone had them open the club as an outlet for illegal booze, though FBI reports claim that there's no evidence that Club Madrid was ever a mafia-run business. So the word is out that it was, but there's no evidence to say as such.
Right. So it's more
by mouth, by word. But is there always a lot of evidence of certain things? Right?
No.
Brumder Mansion had a pretty dubious reputation. The strangely placed ballroom, which was still pretty awesome to have downstairs.
I think so.
Yep. Had that separate entrance. Also had a tunnel that went from the basement of the Brumder to a house right across the street from the Brumder.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of made a perfect place for a little speakeasy. So the Brumder basement speakeasy was also alleged to be home to gambling and prostitution, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. Kind of goes with the game. And it was said that 4 young women were listed as roomers living with the Peck family. However, they probably were prostitutes for the speakeasy. Right. But it's not known for sure.
No.
Okay. The Picks left the home around 1932, just before Prohibition was repealed, and the house remained vacant for a short time. Now, briefly, it said that a group of lawyers occupied the house, and soon it was bought by a couple who used it as a boarding house for a nearby company, Alice Chambers. Or, I'm sorry, Alice Chalmers. Which, again, Milwaukeeans know that name pretty well. In the mid-1940s, the home was purchased by Our Savior's Lutheran Church. With the expansion of the church, they needed more space to spread out, and the Brumder Mansion became a living quarters for pastors. Over the years, it was a place for offices and meeting rooms, daycare, chapel, youth center. It went through a lot of different changes. In 1997, the Brumder was bought by Carol and Robert Hershey, who restored the home to the original beauty. So, and they did a lot of work on it.
Yes.
I do know that I read something from Carol who said that of the radiators that were inside, of 15 of them, I think 12 or 13 had to be completely ripped out and new ones put back in. The flooring of the ballroom or speakeasy had to be completely redone. The home was pretty much just becoming in shambles.
Okay.
So they poured a ton of money into it to restore it and then build it into a bed and breakfast. Now, the current owners, it stayed at the bed and breakfast in 2007 when they were visiting from California, and they ended up purchasing it in 2008 when they learned the owners were thinking about selling. And to this day, Brumder still is in operation with the historic bed and breakfast with a theater.
Yep.
And the theater will host performances, including its running performance of Two Brothers, One Mind, which we got to see when we were
Yes, we
there.
did.
Yes. And they got to join us for a little investigation at the end. And it was really a good show if you ever just wanted to check Brumder out, even if you didn't want to stay there. Just check out one of their shows. You'll get a good view of the first floor.
Yes.
They'll show you around and show you like the parlor, the library, or the
any of the vacant rooms.
Yes, if there's not a room that's being stayed in, they'll show you like that room. It's really cool. And they were really good.
They were.
Pretty mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
One of those like, I know there's a trick to this.
But how?
How?
And they won't. They do not divulge.
No. You can stay with them afterwards. They'll come out after their show and have a few drinks with you because there's a little bar down there.
They still don't.
They're not going to say a word. So for the hauntings, now it's hard to say with this type of history that there wouldn't be some possible spirits that are lingering. One spirit reported in the basement is Joe.
And I think we talked to him.
We talked a little bit to Joe.
We didn't confirm it, but
it seemed like it.
But it seemed like it.
So Joe is reportedly a former mafia enforcer who served as the speakeasy's bouncer. So you would come through the tunnel and you'd go down this little hallway and there's Joe standing there and he won't let you in unless you're supposed to be there.
Right.
Joe was actually well liked and well respected. However, he met his death in the basement there in the tunnel area after being shot for either knowing too much or other reasons.
Yeah.
I know the owner had said a different story. And then the one that we heard earlier that day was just he knew too much information, and Capone was trying to cut a lot of ties towards the end there.
Yeah.
Before they sold the place. Joe's apparition has reportedly been seen in the far corner of the theater by performers on stage, and it's like he's trying to watch the show, as if he was on breaks from letting people in and out. He's also known to be a little handsy at times, grabbing at people to startle them. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Another entity could be George Brumder Jr. himself. It's said that his spirit has been seen and felt in his room, the George Suite.
That was the first time we stayed there.
He's reportedly seen in the small space between the two rooms. So the suite has this one large room and then like this little bathroom. You walk through the bathroom and then there's like a smaller room. So it's two rooms into like one.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Other investigators say that they had strange EMF anomalies in the room, as well as unexplainable shadows that trigger equipment that's being used. Then there's a female entity in the Gold Suite. The prior owner, Ms. Hershey, reported that she heard a female voice telling her to get the dog off the bed. She had a dog at the time. She also reported that a mirror lifted off its hook and crashed to the ground with no one around. She once discovered 3 drops of blood by the bathtub and was scared that she would actually find a body upstairs. Because where else would the blood come from? So she's like checking the ceiling and thinking, is there something upstairs leaking? Is there a body up there?
If there's blood, it's
from somewhere.
It's somewhere.
However, she found nothing.
Okay.
A psychic reported the name of the reported, so they started naming this female entity Aunt Pussy.
Okay.
However, a psychic that stayed there said that she was in communication with this female entity who said her name was Susan. And Susan did not like the decor that they did and does not like dogs in the room.
Oh.
Once the dog wasn't in the room, activity sort of decreased.
Okay, diminished, yep.
So a child entity is felt on the 3rd floor near the Marion Suite. This is more of a mischievous and playful entity, as some reported someone crawling or even jumping on the bed.
And that's the one we stayed in this past weekend.
Yep. One EVP from a paranormal team caught the child's voice saying, "Don't leave, help me."
Okay.
Very interesting. I was listening to a few recordings from another psychic medium that was there, who also stayed in the Marion Suite, and she had stated that when she was there, She didn't go to bed till after 4 in the morning.
Mhm.
But when she did go to sleep, she laid in the bed in the Marion suite and actually felt like somebody was coming to tuck her in,
Okay.
which a little scary at the moment.
Yeah,
Like
that would.
that would probably freak anybody out.
Yeah.
Or if you're just sitting on the bed and all of a sudden you feel like something just got up on the bed, it's
Mhm.
creepy.
Yeah.
So we were there and we went to George's suite first.
Yep.
Um,
That you had your doll was moved.
the doll was moved in George's
Um,
suite. So I have my doll Estelle, that
we
comes to a lot of investigations with us. And she had moved to a different location, which was interesting.
we did get a little activity with the dead bell in there.
We did, yeah.
Um, just basic questions.
Hmm.
I think we got Sam.
We did get a name Sam,
Mhm. We said that, and then we got the dead bell.
right?
And we did get a George.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't super active
No, I
that
actually
night.
felt pretty calm.
Yeah. And then we stayed in the
Marion suite.
no, the second time.
Oh, Emma.
Yeah, the Emma.
Yeah, Emma didn't have anything going on.
No. And then this last time we stayed in the Marion, and we didn't really get much in the suite.
No, we
but
actually had more activity in the basement.
but we did get some activity in the basement.
Right.
At one point, we offered to have a drink,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
right on cue, the dead bell went off. So I ran up to the room and I
We offered whatever's there a drink. It was pretty quiet for a while.
which
We're like, hey, do you want to drink with us? And all of a sudden the doorbell rings. We're like,
mhm.
all right. So
and
he ran up to the room and got the whiskey.
and it seems like it was Joe, but we never got a confirmation on a name.
There was never a confirmation, no.
Um,
Unfortunately.
yeah, that could have been Joe wanting to take a break.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Um,
It was quiet, but still there was some
right.
activity with the dead bell on cue.
Yep.
And that was pretty interesting to see that.
But anytime we asked who they were and said a name,
It'd be
silence.
Quiet. Yeah, I'd be quiet. Like,
So they did
they
not
didn't
want to
wanna-
identify themselves.
No, not this time. The first time I stayed there, I stayed in the Marion Suite. And I was with a different team at the time. And we were doing kind of like a quality assurance test where
Mm-hmm.
all of us stayed in different rooms. And we just stayed quiet for like 10 minutes just to kind of get used to the common noises
Mm-hmm.
throughout the mansion. And as I'm sitting there on the bed, not moving, it was like a quiet time. So just sitting on the bed and kind of meditating a little bit, watching the room. I had a cat ball that was out in front of me, and the cat ball just started going off.
Okay.
I remember calling one of the team members who was in the room next to me, and we watched the cat ball go off for a little bit.
Okay.
And then from there, I put some like little toys down, like a little car truck thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else really happened, unfortunately.
Okay.
But what we did catch is one of the members was down in the living room area.
Mm.
And there was some talking going on. But when the talking stopped in the front portion of the hallway, like when you first walk in the entrance, there was a group of people standing there talking. There was a show that went on that night, so we were waiting to investigate. When the talking kind of dwindled, you can hear a little girl's voice right behind them.
Hmm.
So that was really cool. So not a lot of activity when we're there.
But we are not done staying there. So
Absolutely not.
there's more rooms to try, and
Yes. But if you go to the website, the gold room is not up for a booking. And that's usually because the owners are staying in there. And
Okay.
that makes me sad a little bit because it sounds like the gold room would be kind of cool to stay in with Aunt Pussy there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have 3 dogs, so I would definitely bring a dog with me.
Huggle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
little Huggle.
think Huggle would love being there.
I think you would.
Or Teddy.
Well, you'd have to bring both because they're kind of attached.
They are pretty much best friends. So I would have to bring my dogs and
Or-
see if that would provoke anything.
But then we'd have to bring the team cat.
We could find out if the entities like cats instead
Maybe
of
we have
dogs.
to bring our team cat.
Yeah. Which team? We have 2 team cats now.
Well, yeah.
So we have a Priscilla and a Satine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one we would have to bring.
Oof.
I'd have to say Priscilla because she was the first.
Yeah.
So she gets preference.
It's only because you helped pick her.
Yes, I did. So, I mean, that's the history of Brumder, but we wanted to talk a little bit about Brumder just because we just stayed there. We've stayed there 3 times now, and we have a couple like lives from when we were there on our website, or not on our website, on our Facebook page.
We do have some Horage House footage. Not much happened there, but
the first night was great,
which we're going to put together as well. If you do stick around after this, I will put up all the pictures we took
from Brumder.
From Brumder.
Yeah.
We're going to go through our pictures and we'll add a little slideshow of some of the rooms to show the architecture and
which is beautiful.
The layout of the rooms, the style, everything like that, and
it's definitely a house I would love to buy. Like if something were to go on with the owners or they want to sell, like I would move mountains to try to take up the bed and breakfast and live there myself because it's amazing. It's so gorgeous.
So
I don't know if that's something that could be something like a team thing.
Yeah,
like the team could buy it and we can like be renting it out for investigations.
2 brothers, 1 mind. If you guys are listening,
oh my gosh,
we'd work with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it does definitely sound like they have some knowledge of the history that went on there too, which would be really awesome to include. Do investigations after their shows and stuff. That would be awesome. But really, the Brumder is one of my favorite places to be if you're ever in Milwaukee and just want to stay the night somewhere and looking at hotels. Close the hotel app and go check out the Brumder instead. You'll get breakfast in the morning. You'll get treated so kindly.
Oh yes,
they are so kind. You would love to just sit and chat with them. Like they even give you a tour of the place when you get there
and tell you the history.
Yes.
The sightings, their experiences.
Yeah, they'll talk about their experiences if you ask. It sounds like Lori was her name.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's had a lot more experience.
Yeah.
But her husband has had quite a few experiences himself. But you would really love being there. I would say check it out. And then if you're free during the day or whatever, go down the street and take a tour of the Pabst Mansion as well. These mansions are gorgeous. I'm sad that we don't have them the way we used to.
Right.
Understandably, it must be difficult to keep up a home like that.
Yeah.
So I can see why maybe people aren't buying them or staying in them for long, but it's just gorgeous. So when you think of Milwaukee, think of Brumder, think of all the fun things that you can do in Milwaukee, and it's downtown, so you're right there for everything.
Also, that's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, that ends our February.
We do have some interesting stuff coming in March. We're gonna do another fun facts of dying.
Of course we are.
We're gonna have another creeps and cocktails.
Well, yes.
And we're gonna have another going back to some of the OG episodes. And
we're gonna talk about an exorcism case, which would be pretty cool.
So, and I mean that's St. Patty's Day, so maybe we'll delve into the dark side of St. Patrick's Day.
There's a dark side of St. Patrick's Day?
Oh, there's a dark side to all these things.
Okay.
I mean,
there's a dark side to me, but
Valentine's had its dark side, its dark traditions too. So
yeah,
um,
yeah. Or even
there's
just bad Valentine's Day
yeah,
dates.
and there's different bad like lore, and there's good and bad that were practiced with any of those kind of celebrations. So
Yeah.
so we'll dive into some of that stuff next month.
Yep. And we will be joining some of our friends on their podcast as well. We'll be joining next week, actually, beginning of March, we'll be joining our friend Darren with MSG Paranormal. And then we'll be doing some work with Sean and his group, which is mid-March.
I think so.
Yeah.
And
So kind of.
and then after March, we're gonna take about a month or two break.
No, we're not.
And this
So after March comes 3 episodes of Creeps and Cocktails.
But that is a special edition.
Yes.
For regular episodes, though, we're going to take about a month hiatus.
Yeah.
To
focus on Creeps and Cocktails.
To focus on a Creeps and Cocktails series.
Yes. I'm very excited for the series. To be looking out for it in April. It'll come out in 3 episodes. And this is one that I'm diving pretty deep in, and something I've always been wanting to talk about, or person I've always been wanting to talk about. He definitely gives me the oogie boogie and kind of grosses me out a little bit. However, his story and just everything that he's happened throughout his life, I've been wanting to talk about that for a long time. So April is going to be dedicated to this person, and I'm not saying who yet.
And any investigations, we will try to do a little history on any of them,
right?
As well, and throw that out there.
Yep.
For your information too.
So, future investigations. We just did Brumder. We have another one coming up at the end of March. And then April, we're breaking for a little bit from investigations because May, we're heading to Edinburgh.
Yes.
Yes. Huge thing on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So.
And we're going to be joining, we're joining our group, Racine Paranormal Investigations, in March. So we'll have like a full group doing that. And then in May for Edinburgh, we're joining Darren with MSG, and then Small Town Paranormal.
There it is.
Yes, Small Town Paranormal. So we're kind of partnering up with a couple other groups, and it'll be fun. But we will be doing some lives with that as well. And I just want to verify that I'm calling Darren's group correctly. MGS. Sorry. Darren, I apologize if you're listening. It's MGS, which is Midwest Ghost Seekers. My bad. MSG. I'm sitting here thinking about food. MSG. So I'm actually really excited to join his podcast and then join him and Small Town Paranormal in May. So while we let dear Nick here heal from whatever sickness he has.
Whatever is going around.
Yeah.
Has messed with my throat bad. But with that, thank you for watching. And if you stick around, I will be adding pictures to the video as well at the end so that you can see the interior if you do not have access to go to Brumder. You can see this wonderful location. So make sure to subscribe and like our show for future updates. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
you.